Got it. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for letting me come and present to the Boston Architect Group. I'm really excited. I've been saying for years that we need an architect group out there. So I'm super thrilled to be speaking at many of these and have the ability to kind of help you all in your journey to become architects. So I'll be going over today the program, how we've designed it, all the resources that you have around it as well. And then definitely open to any kind of question you have on many of the different paths you have that you're on right now. And as Melissa did introduce me, my name is Suzanne Ferguson. I run the global program, so dealing with all different regions, I'm helping everybody on their path. Just a brief agenda. We're going to go over the value of architects, but you're all in this group, so I'm sure you know the value of being a Salesforce architect, but I'll just briefly touch on that. Then I'll go over some of our program offerings and how they tie and they relate back to the credentials that you see in the architect pyramid. And definitely I'll go over the Certified Technical Architect credential a little bit and give you some additional resources. And I think always the value is in questions. Everyone gains lots of experience from listening to people ask questions and getting the answers and asking their own questions. So definitely, take note. If there are any questions that you have during my presentation, feel free to ask me. So just really quickly, the Salesforce economy, there's so many jobs that are out there and that will be out there in the coming years. We definitely need to make sure we have enough architects to sustain the growth all over the world. So very important. It's a role that will become more and more important as our customers gain their Salesforce implementations. We've got to make sure that they have the support necessary to continue. So the career, as you're in right now, a very lucrative career that you really are thinking about a problem solver, thinking about in-depth problems, and making sure that our customers, their digital transformation is being done properly with their Salesforce implementation. So there is lots of opportunity out there with a career in being a Salesforce architect, and that's at all levels. I want to stress that too as I go through this, is that there are many different types of architects that you can become. And this just shows too the market's need for Salesforce architects. We really need more qualified people that can fill these roles. So very, very lots of opening positions in technology for that. I'm going to skip right to this slide here, and I'm sure you've all seen the architect pyramid, but I'll just explain it for those of you who may not be as familiar with it. We created this several years ago because there was no direct path. There was no building blocks for architects to go down the path and learn Salesforce architecture really well. So we created these architect credentials, which were previously known as designer credentials. That name did change in December of this year to architect credentials. We categorize those as specializations on the bottom part of the pyramid. And that really is the building blocks for understanding more in-depth concepts and being able to tie things together a lot more. You'll notice that on each side, there are 4 credentials: data sharing, platform developer 1, platform app builder on the left. And once you have all 4 of those, you automatically will get your application architect. And then on the right-hand side, you have Dev Lifecycle and Deployment Architect, Identity and Access Management, Integration Architect, Platform Developer 1. With those 4, you will automatically get your System Architect. Now, you'll notice that there is one that is shared across both sides of the pyramid, which is the Platform Developer 1. So no, you do not have to do that twice. It's one time you pass it, you will essentially get a check mark on both sides of the pyramid. Okay. That is the one difference with any of our other credentials in our Salesforce ecosystem, is that this application and system architect are granted to you automatically. Okay. We do hope that you get your Experience Cloud Consultant, because if you are planning on going all the way and becoming a certified technical architect, that will come in handy. It will help you build those skills needed. And then once you do have your application and system architect, that will qualify you for beginning the journey to become a certified technical architect. And I do say begin the journey, so we'll talk about that shortly. On the application side, which is the left-hand side, we do have, and I'll be able to provide this information to Melissa and Brock afterwards as well. But this is a sample of an application architect learning journey with an estimate of 18 months. Some people are going to be doing this in a shorter time frame. Some will be doing this in a longer time frame. It really depends on your schedule, what you have on your plate right now. A lot of things come into play. So this is just a map of all the potential Trailhead Academy courses that we have available to help you kind of accentuate your, complement your learning in Trailhead and going through the exam guide. These are additional courses that you could take to help get you there. Okay, so just an example of an 18-month for getting everything on the application architect learning journey. I do want to say that, like I said earlier, some people may be shorter at getting there, some people may be longer, but it's really important to learn this well. And I apologize for my dog in the background squeaking on a toy. But if you learn it well the first time, then you'll just keep adding to your skills. I've seen sometimes people go too fast. They study quickly, and then once they finish the exam, they pass, they have forgotten everything. So definitely learn these key fundamentals, as it will help you much later through your architect career. All right, now as system architect, we have a similar one, 18 months as well. So again, it just shows you the different things you can do as you're going down the path. All right, I'm going to talk now about the Salesforce Solution Architect credential. And that credential there looks very similar to our the other pyramid that we have, but there's a few differences I'll tell you about. So this is really focusing on B2C and B2B solution architect, and really going into more on the commerce side and more multi-cloud. Now, you'll notice that on the left-hand side, it is exactly the same as the previous pyramid. So that means that once you have the right-hand side of left-hand side of the pyramid for, let's say, your application architect, you would also qualify now for the B2B solution architect. The only difference here is that the B2B solution architect is an exam, is a credential that you have to take. Oh, I think I'm hearing some feedback. There we go. So the B2B solution architect is a credential you would have to take, unlike the application architect that is granted to you automatically. Okay, and then on the right-hand side, a little different than the previous right-hand side. So here you have integration architect, platform app builder, and marketing cloud email specialist. Okay, so that is a little different on the right-hand side. And then again, the B2C solution architect is a credential you will have to take once you have those 3 prerequisites. Oh, and let me just go back to here really quickly. We are actually in the process now of creating and launching a new course for the B2C solution architect. So you'll hear more about that coming soon. That will be announced shortly. All right. So this is our current portfolio of different courses that we have to supplement the training on Trailhead for the various credentials. So ARC 101 is our integration architect. We'll be having another one soon. For those of you who have been to boot camps, which we have a boot camp coming up at Dreamforce, I have a slide on that later. We do offer integration architect and data architect in that boot camp. Now it's more specific to a specific credential, whereas our 901 and 902 are still fantastic, but they have they have 2 or 3 different focuses in those courses. So if you're going to take a 901, you may have to do some supplemental learning in order to get, let's say, in that case, your data or your integration, if you're only doing 901. ARC 300 is our architecting B2C commerce solution, specifically on commerce. So that is a great one too. If you're a B2C commerce developer, that is the prerequisite for the commerce architect. Okay, so that's another great one. If you're going for that B2C commerce architect credential, that is a fantastic one to help get you prepared. So this will be expanding shortly. I foresee the data one coming in here, as well as the B2B solution architect one that we're going to be offering. So this will continue to grow, and these are all supplemental to your credential learnings. And then at the other end, at the right-hand side, we have our CTA 601. That's really to help you prepare for your certified technical architect credential. And we go into the basics of what is this credential, what are the steps to get there, how you should prepare, how you need to prepare diagrams. So we really do go into, it's split into two parts. You're going to go into the architect evaluation that we launched last June, and then we're going to go into the review board, which I'll get into a little bit. That's more of a panel-based exam, what both Melissa and Brock have been through. So they can give you their take, or if they haven't already, on what that looks like as well. So this is great for anyone who doesn't really know what it is. You get a little bit of information on how to start your preparation. And it's really great because as the exam guide might be adjusted yearly, we do kind of make sure that we're staying current with everything. That 601 course will also be adjusted. So you're getting the latest and greatest information on the course, on the credential, and how you can be better prepared for it. Okay. I'm going to skip through a couple, and I'm just going to go right into some of the details of ARC 101, the 300, and then we'll go right to the CTA level as well. So design and build integration solutions, again, is focused directly on our integration architect credential. So this is a 3-day, 6-hour per day course. All our courses are virtual currently, and they're great because they're broken down a little bit. So it's not the full day. We try and make it at least very digestible for you. So this one, 3 days, 6 hours per day. There are some prerequisites. So admin or platform app builder or platform developer 1, just so that you have the basic knowledge to start. In this course here, there is some pre-work. So make sure that you do that as well. So our target audience is going to be experienced administrators, platform developers, any type of architect, program or project managers, and anyone looking to earn that credential. And focus, the use cases for this would be if you're focusing on data migration, data synchronization, or consolidation. You're trying to make sure where all the data is and how it gets from one place to the other effectively. This one here, the value, the great thing about the architect courses is that we're making sure that they're current and we have the latest information in the modules that are in Trailhead. And then you're really looking at it from all of the architect courses are going to be with some hands-on work, either a scenario, working through an issue, working through a problem. So definitely looking at this more from an architect mindset. And the goal is to maximize your success on the exam. All right, B2C commerce, like I said, the prerequisite for this one here, we do have a little learning journey for this as well. So this one here, again, an 18-month journey, all the detail you would need to make sure that you have all the information to prepare for the B2C commerce architect credential. And you see here, B2C commerce developer, that is the prerequisite for the B2C commerce architect. These ones here are gaining popularity. We have a few on the schedule right now. There aren't that many B2C commerce developers out there yet. So that's definitely a growing field. And so we're looking to make sure that we can help people get this credential as well and be able to help support our customers. So this is just a more detailed one. The prerequisite, again, is the B2C commerce developer. There is some pre-work in this one. Not too bad. This one here is a little bit different. 4 days, 8 hours per day. So this one here has a lot of content. So we had to go a little bit longer with this one. Again, best use cases for this are going to be anyone working with an e-commerce platform migration, any B2C commerce implementations, you're designing a multi-site or multi-region solutions. And of course, the value, I love the value slides. To gain knowledge, make sure you know the best practices currently to maximize your success on the exam as always, and to fulfill, like I said, the growing need for B2C commerce architects, which you don't have enough of in the market today. Oh. The next section is going to be about our ARC 901 and 902. So the first one is looking at everything on the left-hand side of the pyramid, which is the application architect. And then build your system architect expertise, everything on the right-hand side of the pyramid. So for the application architect 901, typically, if you look at the schedule for our 901 and our 902, they do follow 901 first, 902 second by region. So if you're looking at the EMEA region, you'll see one for 901 1 week, and maybe a week or two later, you'll see the 902 if you want to do it then. What I love is the great thing about the virtual classes is that you can do it in any time zone at any time. So it might work better for you in the evening. It might work better for you in the morning. So the courses that you have and the candidates that are in there, the folks that are in there, are really international. And so it does give you a great variety of questions, what different folks are thinking or have questions on. So that is a really great part of it. You're really seeing how other people are asking the questions as well. So this one here, App Builder, is the credential prerequisite, and there is some pre-work to have it before you come to the workshop as well. Always great to get that done quickly, and it just helps you be better prepared for the time of the workshop. This one here, 4 days, 4 hours per day. So you can see it's not as heavy as the B2C commerce one it was. So this one here is definitely easy to fit into your schedule, continue your work day, or however you schedule your day. It's much easier to do when you're only there for 4 hours. And me personally, I don't like sitting in front of for 8 hours in front of a screen is difficult, I think, for anyone. All right, build your system architect expertise, architect 902. This one here is platform developer 1 is required. Making sure you have that knowledge and then the experience working with integration projects, OAuth, and connected apps. That would be a great plus for this course because you're going to get into that a little bit more. This has some integration in it, as does obviously our ARC 101. This one is 4 days, 4 hours per day. And the value for both of these, again, these courses too are taught by our certified technical architects. So you're getting not only guidance as to how to learn the information, but they're giving you real life examples of how it applies to a project. I think that's the huge value here, that and working with scenarios, finding things out about a scenario and how to apply, let's say, integration or a data model to a scenario. Okay, prepare for your technical architect credentials. So we have our 601 that we talked about. So this one here, another interactive workshop that really focuses in on looking at both the architect evaluation and the architect review board exam. So this is really a great starting point to maybe you're not sure you want to go down the path. Maybe you know you want to go down the path and you just need some guidance as to how to start. What do I need to know? And this is 3 days, 3 hours per day. And you must have your application and your system architect to register. I would say typically our classes for this, we have one starting tomorrow in Europe. I would say anywhere from 8 to 12 is probably a good size for these. And that's kind of what I would expect. And it's a great number because then it's very interactive. The larger the group gets, it's more difficult, and we don't want the folks to kind of shy away from asking questions. You know, you have to present in these workshops as well. So it gives everybody the opportunity to do that. So I love the size of this class too. It's really great. Again, with a certified technical architect as your instructor, going over everything from A to Z about the CTA credential. And just the value. Again, I'm going to stress the hands-on experience. I think that's the most important thing. A lot of folks that we get into these workshops maybe haven't really worked on drawing their data model or their system landscape before. So it's a great way for you to see how others draw their artifacts, and you can always gain additional knowledge or additional tips on, I think I'd like to fix my data model. This is a great way this person showed in the presentation on how to do it. So you're always going to just be adjusting your style. We want you to have your style when you're presenting. So it's really important to get these tidbits of information, nuggets of information that you can use to help you. All right, I'll be open for some questions, but before we do I'll probably stop here for some questions first, and then I'll get into the certified technical architect credential a little bit more. Melissa, would you like people to ask their questions in the chat window so it'd be easier to monitor, or how would you like to do that?
There's not too many people. If anyone just wants to come off mute and ask something, that should work. I know someone's going to have a question.
That's okay. I can keep going and they can, ask at the end. That's not a problem.
Okay. And if anyone does have questions while you're talking, just throw it in the chat and we can get to it after.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Melissa, I do have a question that Suzanne might be able to answer quick.
Sure. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. I didn't realize this was the second meeting. That's really cool that you've set up so many so quickly. Shout out to you.
I think Suzanne, Tampa has us beat.
So I understand architect as design plus leadership, right? You have the overarching view of the system and the leadership capacity to convince executives and to drive the team to get it done. Could you talk a little bit about the curriculum for the courses and how that leadership piece fits into it?
Yes, that's a great question. So let me just go back to my first piece here. Let's go back a couple slides. So all of our architect courses, we do a lot of hands-on. And so it's a lot of presentation, how you can communicate that to the audience is very important. And that is a big piece, right? And Melissa and Brock can weigh in on this too, but the way you can effectively communicate to an executive level or to anyone, a stakeholder in the organization, is really important. Especially, I know in 601, but in all the other ones too, we try and make sure that your answers are concise, that you're clear on your message when you're explaining, let's say, an integration, or you're explaining how the data model will work. Instead of going in for, let's say, a 10-minute explanation, we're going to try and get you down to like a few minutes, right? So we want you to be concise and accurate with the way you're describing it, so the customer can completely understand and know exactly where, what the landscape should look like, right?
Okay, so you're not just teaching how to do the design, but you're also teaching how to communicate about it.
Yes, it should be, because there's a way in which you can communicate it, which would take, let's say, 10, 15 minutes. If you go into, and it's not about the detail. You can still be detailed and efficient if it's concise, right? So we do kind of practice that in all our courses. I would say specifically CTA, 601, we do, because we're working towards a panel exam, which is a timed event. So you do have to be concise. You do have to be detailed and explain not only your solution, but how it works, why you selected it, and how it relates back to the problem the customer's having. So with that, we always use an example of, if you have to give a quick explanation to somebody, to an executive or to a stakeholder, how are you going to frame that in a very short period of time effectively?
Yep,
that.
I agree with this. This is where I started doing process mapping to help me evolve my explanations and understanding of how things would work and how to explain it.
Exactly. It definitely depends on the audience, but yes, you can, it's an art. It is an art. I saw somebody put that in the thing. It is definitely an art on how you would package that together to explain to somebody, right? So yes, all of these courses are more hands-on, and Amit, who's on our team, is a fantastic instructor. He's a master instructor, and he has helped develop thinking of everything from an architect mindset. And it's a very different approach than just coming in and looking at an integration pattern. You've got to think about the whole picture first, right? And that's it takes time for people to get that if they haven't been exposed to it before. And that's why we encourage you to look for projects or listen in on projects within your company that maybe an area you don't know as much about, just to gain that experience. That's really important.
Well, speaking of projects, and feel free to push this one out to the end of the session, but I was going to ask people who are working as architects how you navigate projects to make sure that you're getting good and relevant experience. So you're not being either pigeonholed as a data architect or pigeonholed as an integration architect, and being able to navigate projects and actually expand your ability as an architect and get to either do different things or go farther up the ladder in the course of your work.
That is a great question. I can answer part of that, but I would love to hear what everyone else thinks as well. So you're all, I'm sure, architects in the ecosystem now. It's really important, I think, to message what your goals are and have that known so that you can kind of expand and you don't get pigeonholed into one area. So definitely get involved in different areas, show your interest. Yes, you can be the expert in one thing, but I would say having a variety of information and knowledge is power, right? It's definitely for you to go and make sure that you ask. I think that's the biggest thing, is I think people don't think they can ask if they can do this. So definitely, I think it's a strength if you want to know about different areas of the company and different areas of Salesforce.
Yeah, I agree. I just hosted a panel at the Witness Success conference, and Allison Park said, ask for challenges. And that was just such great advice.
Yeah, I agree with that advice. One thing that you can really do is kind of look at the architecture domains in the CTA review board exam guide, even if you're not looking to sit for the review board, and just assess your gaps, what your gaps are with respect to those domains. And you want to kind of do two things. One, when challenges come up that are aligned with those domains and you don't have that skill and you want to build it, volunteer to do the work. Let's say there's not a data migration specialist staffed and a data migration concern comes up on your project. You want to volunteer to take that opportunity to learn how to plan and build data migrations, for example. But you also kind of want to be proactive in talking about that with your manager and what kind of opportunities that you're looking for. So when you understand your gaps, you can be more outspoken in terms of what skills that you're looking to learn.
I completely agree. I love that, though. Ask for challenges. That's a great quote. All right. Well, let me go back here and I will just go zoom by all of these that we went over already. There we go. So as I was mentioning earlier, the certified technical architect credential is broken down into two parts. Part one is what we call the architect evaluation. I think of this as almost like a test, a pre-test, to make sure you're ready, to make sure that you understand the format as well. So this is a 3-hour total evaluation with a one-on-one with a certified technical architect evaluator. They're going to be judging areas that are in the exam guide for the review board, but we have only 5 we look at for the evaluation in interest of time. So we just want to make sure you have no large gaps. Exactly what Brock was saying, you know, make sure that you go through that exam guide to make sure that you have experience, knowledge about those areas and are able to respond. But we encourage people to practice, right? Scenarios and practice, because we do have several scenarios out there. I will be launching another full scenario shortly, but there's one out there specifically for this evaluation. So when we launch this, I wanted to launch this evaluation scenario as well, which helps you with the timing. I think that's the most important thing. This one here is 3 hours total. So you have 1 hour to prep. You have 30 minutes to present, 30 minutes for Q&A, and usually about 30 minutes for review. And the other half an hour there is getting artifacts, is getting set up. You know, there's some setup time as well. So it's approximately 3 hours in total, sometimes about 2:45. But the architect will be looking at this similar to the review board, the larger one, but again, this is a much smaller version of it. This one here, you register in WebAssessor for this, and you can only register if you have your application and your system architect credential. If you see that you can't register, it's because you probably don't have one of these, because all related now in WebAssessor and Criterion. The delivery for the evaluation is going to be virtual going forward, and we do offer it now in English and Japanese. And the other thing I'll say about the evaluation is when you register, and I think this is one of those things where I hear these rumors out there about this exam, and some are correct and some are not. So here's one that is a false rumor. When you register for this evaluation, you will be assigned a certified technical architect who's your evaluator. They will schedule you in 2 to 4 weeks. Of recent, I've had lots of people register and they said they're not ready for like 6 months, a year. And so I'm kind of curious why people are registering if they're not ready to take it yet. So and the reason is they thought there was this huge wait. And that's what we had years ago, is we did have a lot of people wanting to take the full exam when we didn't have this evaluation. So there was a wait, right, to take it. Now that we put this in place, there is no wait. We schedule you in 2 to 4 weeks, and hopefully you're ready to take it when you register. Another reason why I think people are waiting is because that you receive a pass or fail with this credential, with this part of the credential. A pass would mean that you would move on to the review board, and currently it's sitting that you would, and has been for the last year. Once you pass, you will receive a review board exam date in 2 to 4 months after you pass your evaluation. So people ask me all the time, well, why is it so long, or why is it so short? It's because we want you to kind of restart. We know that after you take this exam, this evaluation, life happens. You go back into your job, you do other things, you fall off that momentum a little bit. We want you to review the feedback. We give you feedback and to better prepare for the final exam. So you will be scheduled in 2 to 4 months, which I don't know, but time flies by so fast now. I think that's like no time at all. But the reason I think why people are waiting too is that if you do not pass this evaluation, it is 6 months before you can retake it. So I wouldn't recommend rushing into this. Make sure you're prepared for it. We want you to be prepared. We want to see people move forward. But the reason we put this in place was to make sure that you are prepared for the next step. This is 3 hours, like I said, 1 hour of preparation. The next step is 3 times as long. So it's 3 hours preparation. The scenario is 3 times as long. So we want to make sure you're ready for that. Okay, I know I'm going to get questions, so I'm ready for them, don't worry. So this is just the benefits of this architect evaluation. So we have been seeing great success for people that pass the evaluation and how they fare on the review board exam. They're faring much better. Sometimes people don't pass the review board exam, but they're closer, right? It is 2 different scenarios. It is a different day. So there's lots of things that come into play. Nerves are a big one. So, there's a lot of things that go into each one of these. Now, the review board exam, we did cut the price on that too, because it used to be $6,000 for just this exam. But because we split it into 2, we didn't want anyone paying any additional money. So that's why the evaluation now is $1,500 and this is $4,500. Approximately, it's a 6-hour exam, with everything, all the prep and all the gathering artifacts, the breaks we give you as well. Don't worry, it's not 6 hours straight. But this is about a 6-hour exam. So our team can typically only do 2 a day, right? Morning and afternoon. So as you can imagine, we don't have a ton of spots available. So the evaluation has helped that way as too. We really prioritize those that pass and we get them in to the review board. So this one here, you do have to pass that architect evaluation to qualify for this exam. This one here, we have been doing it for the last couple of years virtually, which I know is difficult for a lot of folks. We are going back to in-person boards starting in October in London, and again in the US, I believe it's New York in November. What that means is you will not have to, if you qualify and you're getting a spot in either October or November, you do not have to come in person. But we will have a team on site in person, including the facilitator, the proctor, and the judges will all be on site as well. And I know this is important for some people. I would say probably 80 to 85% of folks didn't mind doing it virtually. There is sometimes, depending on where you're located, a little bit of a lag. South Africa, by far the worst, just because the bandwidth is not as stable. So it was really difficult for any candidates in South Africa to they would click on the mouse, they'd have to wait several seconds. So how frustrating can that be? You're already stressed and then you're trying to do it and it's very slow. So, if it's an area where that is happening, I do recommend coming in person, and I've told them to wait and come in person if possible. But everywhere else, we are not doing away with the virtual. So if you want to do virtual, we can still facilitate the virtual review board for you. And currently also just available in English and Japanese. If you're planning on doing it in Japan, it will be in Japanese, though. I've had one person ask me. So unless you're fluent in Japanese, I wouldn't recommend that. All right, and then just some additional resources I have is the overview, architect overview, definitely the link to what Brock was referring to, the CTA exam guide, certified technical architect credential information. We have a page of it on our website. We have the Trailblazer community. We have the architect website that's run by our architect relations team. They're doing these fantastic things with decision guides and now the well-architected videos that Tom's putting out. So tons of great information on the blog, the website, their Twitter handles, Salesforce Arcs, and LinkedIn Salesforce Architect as well. So tons of great information for any level of architect that you want to go down. These are the places to go. Yes, Tom is great. Also, I just wanted to put a note here for Dreamforce. For those of you wanting to attend, we do have, before every Dreamforce, before every Trailblazer DX, we have our boot camps that are fantastic. There's nothing better than going in person. We've started doing them this past March in DC. We've just finished one in Berlin, and we did Trailblazer DX in San Francisco. This will be the next one at Dreamforce in San Francisco, so Saturday, September 17th to Tuesday, September 19th. We have the data architect, we have the integration architect ones that are typically one of the most popular ones. So we're super excited to see the numbers for Architect continuing to grow. And just to give you some idea, for those of you who haven't been to a boot camp, it's really a great experience. So it's training during the day. We have study groups at night. You can ask the instructors anything. They stop in, they help you study. It also includes 2 certification attempts. One, I believe, in the beginning, and then one at the end, the last day. So you have the opportunity to take any credential you'd like. Usually people are going to focus on the credential they're going to learn about, but I've seen other people do other ones as well. We have a great party as well on one evening. So there are lots of ways to connect. And I think the biggest thing here, and most of you have been to many of these, correct?
I actually haven't done them, but I was there for the party at TDX, and you guys looked like you were having a great time.
Oh, I'm sure you had been to one.
Nope.
Well, these are, this is where you're going to meet tons of folks on the same path, create great friendships and, people to connect with. I think that's the beauty of like Trailhead and learning, is that everyone's so open to helping each other. These are just like fantastic. And the feedback we get from our boot camps is phenomenal. So it really is a great experience. If you haven't been to one, has anyone on the call been to a boot camp before? We've done, oh, Daniel, you've been to one. I've done Gold Coast. That was a really nice one. That we had DC, San Francisco. We did Barcelona. We did Berlin. So Daniel or Andrew, do you want to say something about the boot camps so you can tell everyone else about what your experience was like?
I did Platform Developer 1, and that was at TDX, and it was awesome. Honestly, like probably best experience ever. Way better than trying to learn like on your own. Like having a knowledgeable instructor was totally a game changer.
Yes, and what I like about these boot camps is it's not like your typical, like our courses are sometimes like 5 days or 4 days, right? It's hard to take the time when you have a busy job and you have family to take the time to do this. So this is Saturday through Tuesday, right before Dreamforce starts. Sometimes people tie that into their Dreamforce trip. A lot of companies will say, hey, you're going to Dreamforce anyways, can we do the training before? So it makes it really easy to sell it, but it's sometimes a little bit shorter, and you have those 2 attempts. Back when I got my first certification, we did courses, and then they give you a voucher. Well, that voucher sat on my desk at the time, or my inbox forever. I don't think I used it. I think I had to ask for it to be extended. It was hard because then I forgot everything I learned as well, right? So that was the hard part. So with this, I love it that we have those exams right there for you to take after you've learned everything. It's still in your head and you're able to go and do it. So great experience. And again, this year we have Amit will be there. I believe Steve Baines is going to be teaching our other course as well. So we've got some fantastic instructors for the architect tracks.
I've heard great things about Amit. I met him briefly when I was there for TDX.
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah, and I've always been jealous of the boot camps, and I've heard such great things about them that I heard there's so much fun. I want to do a couple. I've heard that there's Commerce Cloud sometimes. I want to do that, and I want to do MuleSoft since I don't need the other ones anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. So definitely look at the other ones, because there's some for marketers, there's some for app builder, there's some for admin. So it really is a nice mix of our most popular courses. So it's a lot of fun. But yes, I just want to put that plug in there for those of you attending Dreamforce. It's definitely a great few days. And with that, I know, just looking at the time, I want to make sure I get all your questions in. And yes, Steve Baines, yay, he's fantastic too.
He's local for us.
Steve Baines?
Yep, he's in New Hampshire, so he's local for Boston.
Guy. Yes,
yep.
He's just right there. All right. Any other questions? Do you want me to go back and, have any questions about the technical architect that I didn't cover, or any other questions? I want to make sure that you you have the right tools and resources to go down any architect path that you would like to go down. And really, I think, the question I get all the time is, well, if I go down this path, what's at the other end? I think you create your own path. Like you had said earlier, you have to find those challenges, and that may open one door to something else. It may take you down a different path for architecture. So it's not just a linear kind of path anymore. I find it can branch out in many different directions. Well, I'm happy to stay on a little bit longer if you have any questions, but I do want to thank Melissa and Brock for inviting me today and talking about all the different paths and opportunities and credentials we have here at Salesforce and Trailhead Academy, because our intent is to help you continually learn and continue to learn about Salesforce and everything we can do for our customers.
Yes, really appreciate you coming and doing this for us. So thank you. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, either type it in the chat or just come off mute and ask. This is your chance. We've got Suzanne. So this is a great time to ask her.
Yeah, so Jamie's asking about slides. Yes, I will share these with Melissa. One thing too, on our architect Trailblazer community, we do have office hours. So in case you have any questions about any part of the program, whether it be the integration architect, any of the B2C, anything like that, we do have office hours every other Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific and 4 p.m. Pacific. So you can jump onto one of those calls. We will be announcing some exam guide changes shortly in the next month or so. So I anticipate that office hours will get quite busy with people asking questions. So definitely a great, and we don't record those. They're just kind of questions people have at the time. So definitely could stop by, listen in, or if you have a question, that would be a great way. Well, thank you all so much. I hope you have a great evening.
Yeah, thank you so much, Suzanne.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.